This video is an energy update for tomorrow's new moon, March 18th, 2026. It's a very powerful time astrologically. It's a very pivotal time. You might find yourself finally having the breakthrough you have been long awaiting. And you might find that your life really starts to finally piece itself together in a harmonious way, making sense of all the growth, all the transformation, all the waiting. Your patience can be rewarded in this sort of window of energy, you might say. It's a great time. It's a great time of breakthrough. It's a great time of triumph. It's a turning of the corner from inner contraction, healing, uncertainty, confusion, and waiting to alignment, expansion, manifestation, forward progress, both inner and outer, as a new transformed person. It's an amazing time. In fact, I cannot wait to get into the reading. What I'm going to do now in this video is share with you the three main themes, expanding upon what I just said and how it might relate to you and your life and your journey right now. And the intention is that with this awareness, you can get the most out of this powerful alignment, which is, in this case in particular, it's just full of potential. And I cannot wait to get into it. So welcome to my channel. My name is Victor Oddo, if you don't know, and I'll see you inside. Theme number one, 3 feet from gold. A lot of you may be a lot closer than it seems to a huge breakthrough. And the analogy that keeps coming to my mind is that of a sunflower. Sunflowers are very interesting, hardy, sturdy plants if you've seen them. They're a big, powerful, they have a big, strong, sturdy presence about them. But it takes them a little while to get going, these sunflower plants, because what happens is when you plant a sunflower seed is for the longest time, nothing will happen on the surface. It'll establish a nice sturdy root system. And the growth, even when it does sort of pierce the soil, it's very slow going. It doesn't really do much for a long time. But once that root structure is finally firmly in place, the top part of it will basically explode up. And these things, they get huge and they get big very, very quickly. And that is just one of nature's examples of just like this sort of cool, I don't know, surprising quality of the transformation process. Almost like nature takes pleasure in surprising us and in a very pleasant way. Where right now, a lot of you have been doing a lot of root spreading, a lot of inner work, a lot of exploration of who am I? What is really authentic to me? Where do I really want to go next in life? You may have been questioning these things. You may have been questioning how things have been going, what you've been involved in, and yet not quite sure of what you'd like to be involved in. And you may have glimpses here and there where you get a little idea and it feels like, oh, this is it. This is me. This is authentic. This feels right. And then the next day you're questioning even that. And there's been a lot of maybe uncertainty and no real physical, tangible, sunflower-like proof that any of this is going anywhere. You can't see always the transformation, the profound changes, the healing, the expansion, the disillusion of your former identity, giving way to this new, more grounded, authentic, powerful version of yourself. All of it's there. You may have sensed it. You may have sensed that in your darker times or in the challenging periods of turmoil and uncertainty that there's something going on, something's brewing. Well, you can have faith that there is, because that is how nature works oftentimes. It's not just the sunflower plant. We human beings are perhaps arguably the most complex organism that is a part of nature. We have, nature is in us. We do this. We are not static. We evolve, we change, we grow. And it doesn't always look that way. A lot of times growth and expansion and evolution is messy. It requires sometimes some pain and some delays and all that kind of stuff that I'm sure you are quite familiar with. You've probably been going through this for quite a while in your actual day-to-day life. And it's not just some metaphorical inner thing that's happening. This plays out in your life. As you go through this inner root spreading type of metamorphosis and the uncertainty that comes with questioning your identity, oftentimes that plays out as very tangible uncertainty in your life circumstance, in your relationships, perhaps, in where you live. Your living situation might be kind of uncertain for whatever reason. Your career, which of course is a sense of safety, your financial security, all these things also ironically are mirror and reflect this inner process. So not only do you feel uncertain, confused as to like who you are and where you're going in life, but your whole life might seem like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. It can be a multifaceted, just whirlwind of confusion. But like that sunflower plant, it's not random. It's not pointless. There's a lot happening beneath the soil. And what I'm trying to say is that this new moon is the turning point. It's the turning point where you finally strike gold, just like the old story goes, 3 feet from gold. It's an actual reference to someone who struck gold, but wasn't aware of how gold gathers. Gold gathers, come to find, I just read this in a book. It gathers in these like veins that run, I believe, horizontal along the earth. And this one person struck gold, but just went from the top and then drilled to the bottom, and then thought there was no more gold. They went back sort of with their tail between their legs, disappointed, didn't really make much money, wasn't very much gold. They sold their equipment. And the people who bought that equipment asked, "Hey, where'd you find that? Where'd you say the gold was dried up?" And they went back there, knowing how nature works, and found themselves a fortune there. And what you might find right now is a lot of times you just don't know. What I'm trying to say is you don't know how close you are to a breakthrough. You don't know how close you are to things finally clicking and making sense. You don't know how close you are to that random phone call that could change everything. That random opportunity, that random thing in the mail, that random idea. A lot of times it's not as a fairy tale like I say. It's not like someone says, "Okay, here's a bunch of money," or "Okay, here's your soulmate. Let me introduce you." No, a lot of times it's just you're going about your day and you have one idea. But it's not just any idea. It's an idea that lights you up from within, that fills your body with creative vitality. And there's an expansive quality to it. There's this intuition that this idea is perhaps more me than anything I've ever known. And that one idea put into action is akin to that sunflower plant exploding and gracing us with this glorious presence. So my friend, what I'm trying to say is don't give up. Don't give up. Don't look to me, the YouTuber. Look to nature. Look to the sunflower plant. Look back at your own journey, and I bet you can find evidence of this sort of sunflower 3 feet from gold phenomenon. And I'm telling you right now, it's ripe. It's ripe in the astrology. Look it up. It is a genuine turning point. You can take that to the bank, my friend. You can take to the bank the fact that all the work you've done, the inner and outer, is going to pay off. It's the time for it. Number 2, accepting parts of yourself that you were maybe for a long time rejecting, denying, not okay with. A lot of times our life can be a lot more simple and a lot more balanced when we accept ourselves. A lot of times the imbalance, the feeling overworked, for example, feeling like physically stressed, like too much on your plate, being in relationships that are giving or taking more than they're giving. A lot of these things come from us being someone we think we need to be rather than just being who we actually are. But what can stop us from just being who we actually are, which sounds easy on paper, is that we don't accept certain parts of ourselves. I'll give an example. I have wrestled over and over, back and forth for probably the last 7 years with being on YouTube. There's a lot of mixed feelings I have about it. And this sort of like indecisiveness, you might say. This 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, this almost insecurity in my placement within this situation has resulted in a lot of challenges in my life, a lot of challenges with my family, a lot of challenges with my health. I would burn out, for example, sometimes, a lot of challenges with my business. And it all has stemmed from this lack of acceptance that this is just who I am, and this is what I'm meant to do. So I'll give an example of that. For a while when I began on YouTube, on one hand, I felt this like fiery, very real fiery passion, like, and also just this genuine desire. Like, I just loved YouTube. I just thought it would be amazing to be like a YouTube mentor because I had gained so much from other YouTube mentors. I thought this would be so dope. And it was one of those ideas I was talking about that just lit me up. And I would do it. As you see, here I am. I have over 1,000 videos. I've done it. But there would be many times where I would pull myself back out of fear that if I went too far into myself, into this direction, I might become a bad father. I don't know where this comes from, but it's some type of genuine internal apprehension, guilt, fear that if I get too big, too popular, I'm going to be out of control and then run the risk of being a bad father. So to me, I'd rather be unsuccessful and broke than a bad father. So I would sometimes, when things are going well, I would do the worst thing you can imagine doing. I'd pull back. A video's going viral, my YouTube channel is exploding, I would become creatively bored and stop uploading videos as a result until things settled back down to where they felt safe. Another thing I've wrestled with is just the image. You know, for example, I go to this MMA gym, and secretly, I hope no one recognizes me because I don't want to have to explain to all these MMA fighters that I do like Ascension energy updates on YouTube. It's something that I almost have my own opinions on. I don't like the persona, almost a category of that. And yet, I know in my soul when I make the videos, it's exactly what I meant to do. It's very perplexing to me. And anyways, I came to like this peak of almost being challenged over the last couple of months. And it finally resolved with me finally just saying, you know what? This is who I am. And I started to allow myself to be myself, allow myself to geek out with YouTube, allow myself to channel the Ascension energy or whatever it is that's going on here. It is something I do straight up. It's something that's very natural and almost easy and authentic to me. And there's no actual reason other than fear, other than outdated beliefs, false identities that would ever stand in my way. And once I finally accepted this and embraced this, I felt, it felt like my entire life changed. This is like a few weeks, not even a week ago, honestly. It felt like my whole life just sort of fell back into balance. And I've been watching this phenomenon play out in other people's lives too, not just myself, my coaching clients, my friends. And I ask you right now, is there a part of yourself that you are denying, that you are not okay with, that you are holding back for one reason or another, whether it makes sense or not? Now's the time to really just own who you are. And how do you know what's authentic? You know it by how you feel. To play a character feels dense. It doesn't flow. There's no ease or lightness or expansiveness or freedom or joy. Even if it brings you money, gains you pleasure, whatever, gains you stuff, whatever it is. But to be yourself, it feels almost like you're weightless. It feels like you don't even have a body. It just feels like spaciousness. It feels natural. And it is only the mind that can say, oh, this is wrong. This is not right. And that's where we get kind of tripped up. But this new moon is very illuminating. And I trust you'll have your own version of the type of breakthrough I've recently had, where you finally maybe come to terms with who you are. Qualities, aspects of yourself that you may have been denying and suppressing, creating imbalance unnecessarily in your own life. Number 3, it's going to sound cliche, maybe even music to your ears, or both. Finding your purpose. This is one of those things that a lot of people don't even think exists. I thought that too. I went for years with this strong feeling that I do have a purpose. I didn't know what it was, but I knew there is this part of my life and something even inside that was very vacant, very much missing. I longed on a very deep, authentic level to be involved with something that is some type of contribution to the whole, to people, to society. I longed for a sense of purpose, a sense that my life means something, that I am here for a reason other than just to go through my own personal life. But I was plagued with this uncertainty. I didn't know what it was. I thought about it a lot. I don't know about you, but I read a bunch of books about it. I did the Ikigai or all these different quizzes and stuff online, and they all made sense, but nothing gave me that feeling. And what I found is that yearning grew and grew and grew. Like I knew, like if I don't find this thing, I'm never going to be really happy or fulfilled. It doesn't matter how secure I am. It doesn't matter even what I have. I have beautiful relationship. This is coming from someone who has been blessed beyond measure with 3 glorious children, an amazing wife. I met my soulmate. I was 20 years old, and we've been together ever since. And, I've always been like okay in life, minus certain traumas and things like that. But for the most part, I've been blessed with an amazing life. And yet I would lie awake at night because I knew, in spite of all of that, there was something very important missing from my life. But my God, I could not find it. And I tried. I tried for years to find it. And I eventually became so frustrated, so jaded, that I gave up on it. I gave up on it. Not only did I give up on it, but I started to credit this longing for a purpose as the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. I would tell myself, why can't you just be more grateful? Look around, look at your beautiful, go watch your children, just watch them sleep. You're innocent. These little creatures that you help create that are a part of your life, these sources of just love and connectedness. Go watch TV with your wife and put your arm around her and lay on your comfortable couch. How dare you be unsatisfied with your life? How dare you complain that there's something missing in your life? There's so many people who have it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse than you. And I started to feel like an asshole wanting the purpose. I felt like, man, you are just like a spoiled little brat with this, I want a purpose, the type of vibe. And I tried to ignore it. I tried to ignore the craving, the yearning for a purpose. But what I found is that the more I tried to ignore it, the more my purpose in all these different ways, it just it would make itself known. It would become known to me that you can't ignore this. Even though you don't know what it is yet, and even though you're frustrated, even though this journey has taken you a hell of a lot longer than you would have preferred, it is real, and you can't just stop it. You can't just pretend. You can't lie to yourself, because it's not even something in your brain. It's something in your body. It's something in your soul that's waking up, albeit very slowly, but nonetheless, it's there, and it demanded my attention. And, long story short, I eventually found it. Now, finding it also can be a trap, because what I found was not, you know what? My name is Victor and I help people navigate their awakening on YouTube. That is my purpose. What I found is not that. I found that is not it. Because like you, like me, we have a lot of purposes. It's not that simple as some mission statement, elevator pitch of my purpose is this. I help change the world by yada, yada, yada. No. It's an energy state. It's a situation you create in your life where you can receive inspiration and put it into fruition in a way that is tangible and beneficial in some way to society. Now, sometimes it's not as what I've also learned is finding a purpose doesn't mean you got to have 1 million followers on YouTube or something. It's everyone's got their own purpose, all valid. I've known people who don't have big aspirations to go out there and do a lot of stuff with their life, and literally just live kind of quiet lives, but they walk with this certain frequency that is very, very infectious. Like being around them is very uplifting and inspiring and comforting and beautiful in so many ways. And there's there's this effect they have on people, even strangers, even the way maybe some of you watching are like that. Maybe you notice that when you go into the store, for example, and one of the things, I without tooting my own horn, I feel like I have this quality to an extent as well. I notice, for example, when I go into a grocery store, a lot of people are just kind of like in their own little world. And I always try to like be like pleasant with the people checking me out. I look them in the eye, I smile, I say thank you, and in a very genuine, sincere way. And I can see the effect. I can see literally like their whole state will change when someone is just decent like that. I'm not saying I'm a saint, but there are people like you probably watching right now who do that all the time, who do it without even trying. And that is your purpose, being connected with your true self and observing and seeing the effect you're having on the world, on other people. But the purpose is a dynamic thing. It's not one thing that you find and you got it, and now it's the moment you think you have it, it slips through your hands like sand, and you have to go find it again, because we're these dynamic, constantly reinventing ourselves types of creatures. But nonetheless, if you watch videos like this and you've done a fair amount of your own inner work, you're going to probably relate with everything I said before. There's like this undeniable hunger to find your purpose. And what I'm telling you right now is this new moon, you just might find it. Even if you've been feeling more lost and skeptical, like I was skeptical, there's no purpose. It's a bullshit thing, you know. I was more skeptical than ever, and then bam, it just, you find it. You kind of, you don't find it necessarily, you realize you are it. It's like that book, Siddhartha. It's an amazing book about the spiritual journey. I highly recommend it, Siddhartha. I don't even know the author's name, honestly. But there's this young person, the protagonist of the story, and he wants to become what he calls the illustrious one, which is like, I think it was in India when he grew up. He wanted to become enlightened, essentially. He wanted to be like the master yogis, etc. And at a young age, he left home, I believe against his family's wishes, to go and pursue this. He had like this genuine calling, and he went to pursue it. And he tried everything. He eventually joined the aesthetics, where they would do all sorts of like really like almost like underground types of, what's the word I'm looking for? Really like hardcore like spirituality, basically, where they would fast for a long time, or they would like, you know, use sometimes pain to evoke these transcendent states, things like that. He hung with them, you know, as one of his trials, and he realized, you know what, these people, though they can do some pretty crazy shit, they don't have exactly, it's not quite it. They don't have what I'm looking for. And then at another point, he went and he lived a life of luxury. He said, maybe I've just been denying the fact that I want to have a beautiful wife and lots of money and a nice house. And he went and he explored that, all the indulgences and spoils you can imagine. He lived that, he had it. And then even then he realized, nope, this also isn't it. And he went on a whole bunch of other journeys, but eventually he finally gave up looking for this thing to cause him to become the illustrious one. And the very last part of the book, he's this old man, and he has a very simple like job, if you would even want to call it that. He was a ferryman or something, a ferryman, where he would just take people across the river, essentially, in this little wooden boat. He had his little cane, and he would just slowly take people back and forth, back and forth. And then one of the last like little scenes of the book, one of his old friends who knew about his ambitions, they crossed paths, and he ferried him across the boat. And this friend looked in his eyes. He looked in the guy's eyes, the ferryman's, and he said, "Ah, I see you found what you're looking for. You've indeed become the illustrious one." And the ferryman didn't even know it. He was like, "Huh?" And then he realized he has. It kind of snuck up on him. And that's how it kind of came about for me. I'm not saying I'm the illustrious one, but I'm saying like finding your purpose snuck up on me. It's not something I thought about too much. When you try to think, you try to control, you operate from a very, very limited way of perceiving the world. Luckily, the purpose is something that will lure you into it, and it's more about gradually waking up to it. And as you do that, you'll realize that what you've been searching for all along has always been inside of you. And before I go, my friends, I want to invite you to my upcoming live, free, guided, online past life regression. I'm QHHT certified, and there is a technique called a past life regression. It's very powerful. You don't even have to believe in past life necessarily. It's a way of hacking into your subconscious mind for healing and for clarity, and just a lot of people find their purpose. If you want to join that, I'll leave a link down below. Just click it and I'll send you the dates and also the Zoom link. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and also leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. Thank you so much.